Hi everyone, my name is Evan Sharp. I am the co-founder and chief design and creative officer here at Pinterest. And we are very excited to have you joining us today for our Black Gold event, celebrating Black excellence on Pinterest and in the digital space at large. This event is part of our long-term mission to build a positive and inclusive space where Black creators and pinners and businesses can really thrive. Now for creators, Pinterest offers something that's a little bit different than anything else out there. It's a chance to reach an audience of over 450 million people looking to be inspired and discover and try new ideas. They're looking to do more than just watch. They're eager to try what creators are trying, to try the recipes or maybe shop their style or even maybe one day go on a vacation following in their footsteps. Wouldn't that be nice? We really believe on Pinterest that creators deserve more than just a double tap. They deserve a chance to connect with how their ideas are genuinely inspiring people's lives. And Pinterest is the place where creators can get their ideas in front of people who are looking to go act on them. And we're doing that in a way that stays true to our values. People tell us all the time how they feel optimistic and confident on Pinterest. And that's partly because we work really hard to keep the enemies of inspiration, comparison and cynicism and judgment off of the platform. And at Pinterest, we want to support and celebrate and elevate Black voices who exceed those standards every single day, because that is what's best for our pinners, it's what's best for our creators, and it's what's best for our business. So today we're here to inspire and educate on how to confidently own your space on Pinterest and online. And we're really excited to make Black Gold a reality. And it's just the start of what's to come from us here at Pinterest. So now I'm going to hand it over to Alexandra, our creator inclusion lead here at Pinterest, who'll be kicking things off for the day. Thank you for coming. And I hope you leave here feeling, as you do when you leave Pinterest, inspired.
Thank you, Evan, and hello, everyone. I'm Alexandra Nikolaev, our Global Creator Inclusion Lead here at Pinterest. Our Pinterest Creators team is delighted to present Black Gold, today's digital event celebrating Black History Month with inspiring conversations around Black creativity in the digital space. So, what are you going to see today? We're hosting a series of community-driven sessions where you'll hear from leading creators. Our hope is that you leave today feeling inspired and that these conversations spark creativity and encourage you to feel confident building your brand on Pinterest. We also have a chat box going and we'll be moderating the discussion all day, so feel free to start chatting. Okay, I don't want to hold us up any longer, so thank you for being here. We look forward to sharing these sessions with you and hope you have an amazing day at Black Gold.
I'm June Ambrose. I'm a costume designer, creative director, author, and mom. I've worked in the creative space for over 25 years, and I'm passionate about storytelling and the integrity of the programs that I participate in and work on. A number of reasons. It drives the narrative in a way that is unique to one's inner voice, and being able to do it visually is the best form of communication for me. I've really taken advantage of technology and expanded my own personal narrative. Allowing people to see me in every facet of my life is very rewarding to me and fulfilling. I consider myself to be the editor at large of the Juniverse in the digital space. I'm really happy to be speaking again on behalf of Pinterest. I'm a fan of the platform and I love how I can create content in this space. It has become my dictionary to all things visually creative. Every keyword gives me the visual definition of anything I'm looking for. And that's what's so fascinating about this. Algorithm. It's a brilliant space. And I can tell that visual story through story pins, trending content to support building my personal brand. I take a holistic approach. I always think, what would the teenage June do? Reminding me of times when I was the most fearless and took risks that only a teenager would. The who I was then, to be honest, raised the who I am now. I am always taken by the things that others have done in the past, including myself. It's sometimes good to reflect back and say, I did something that inspired the person I am now. Pat yourself on the back. We have to recognize our wins. And when our voices matter, keep those moments close to our heart. That's the self-love moment. And I say that with all humility. Now, those are the moments that I hope will resonate with people forever. I have to find a quiet place, cancel out all the noise, limit the outside influence until I can have a really clear moment. And then things just clear up. Even before I start pinning something, I am very clear about what my point of view is. It's important to come from a place of authenticity, no matter where you're gathering the information from. I always like to also dance it off. When I'm feeling stressed, you know how people say, shake it off? I dance it off. And it's something that calms me. It has nothing to do with the work that I'm about to do. As a child, I was always told, don't do this, don't do that. And I know it was to protect me. However, the eccentric June wouldn't have it. I always felt like it was stifling, to do something because I had to do it, not because I wanted to do it. And, when you take that out of the equation, it takes all the pressure away and it gives me a sense of freedom. I want something that makes me feel centered and empowered. Listen, you can't wait for someone to get you out of the rut. You have to find your own way out. So I say, power down, reset, maybe have a little dance and start again. Find your make it through moment, and then you'll find your creative happy space. I think it's important to show the vulnerable side of yourself. There was a time when I questioned if I would receive an opportunity like those around me. I had to stop myself in my own tracks because I was becoming my own worst enemy and comparing myself to others. And to be honest, it's a distraction and a killjoy. I recognize that my journey is my journey. I cultivated things, I built them. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Surrounding myself with like-minded people was key. Filtering out those who don't have your best interests and those who do makes all the difference. And once you've cleared out the closet and you're able to pack it with the most beautiful things that you cherish and honor and respect, life is magical. You have assumed that confidence that you want, and that's what you want to act on. Thank you so much, and enjoy your day at Black Gold.
Welcome to the Pinterest Creators Roundtable. My name is Nikki Bishop and I live in Dallas by way of the Caribbean. And I'm a content creator and the mom half of Fashion Curious across all platforms. I'll be driving the conversation today, and the discussion today is focused on how to pull and unlock success on Pinterest. So for this conversation, I am joined by some amazing content creators. Welcome, ladies. So excited to have you all here today. And just to start off, let's start off by first maybe having each of you go around the room and introduce yourself. And let's start with you, Anita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anita. I am a travel, lifestyle, and fashion creator. I am also a Pinterest educator, and I teach other creators like myself how to get started with Pinterest, understand the platform, and also navigate their strategy while using Pinterest.
How about you, Shaquita?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki. I am Shaquita of the Unconventional Southern Belle, which is a beauty, natural hair, lifestyle fashion brand. And I have been doing this for about 3 years, and Pinterest has really just unlocked new potential for me. So I'm super excited to be a part of this conversation today with these amazing ladies. So thank you. Thank you again.
And Shanika?
So much for having me. I'm Shanika. I'm the recipe developer and food stylist at Orchids and Sweet Tea. That's a food and lifestyle blog. And basically, I help people get confident in the kitchen. I love to do twists based on my Southern and Jamaican roots. And I allow people to be able to try vegan and gluten-free and dairy-free recipes. And I'm super excited to be a part of this conversation today because Pinterest is one of my favorite platforms to use. Thank you.
Thank you for that, ladies. And thank you so much for being here. I know that each of you are really strong in your verticals across Pinterest. So why is Pinterest one of the primary channels for your digital strategy right now? And let's start with you, Anita.
Thank you, Nikki. I think Pinterest is such a great platform because it's a problem solvers platform. I set up my blog to answer questions, to bring ideas to people and to inspire them. And I think Pinterest does it in such a great way that it allows people to search for their questions and then my content pops up. And I think it's very rewarding when someone saves my content or clicks on my content because it answers a question that they have and provides a solution. And the platform just makes it so seamless that even if they find my content and they don't get exactly all the answers, they can find the next person's content. So the way it's easy to navigate and loop through the system, I find that so beautiful. And it just inspires me to keep answering questions and to keep putting our content out there.
I like that answer. How about you, Shaquita?
Absolutely. I'm going to have to agree with Anita in that, I like to answer questions for people, which again is the same reason I started my blog. And Pinterest is where people go for solutions. And I like being able to connect them with that information. And then I also like being able to inspire. So one of the things that is really different for Pinterest for me is that a lot of the things that may have ended up on the cutting room floor on other platforms, I'm able to repurpose those things on Pinterest and bring fresh eyes to them and bring, inspiration to folks through things that they may not have seen on other platforms because I wouldn't have posted it on those other platforms. So that's something that's really huge for me, being able to build that community and also inspire at the same time.
I love that you say that because I know a lot of times we create content and then they don't do as well on other platforms and then they just explode on Pinterest. So I love that you added that. And Shanika, what's your thoughts?
I'm definitely going to have to agree with Anita and Shaquita on both points, but also as a food blogger personally, when it comes to capturing like that moment with food and getting that feel, I think that Pinterest does a great job with that. Especially with the introduction of story pins. So I'm able to kind of bring my readers step by step into the process, as well as just capturing that moment for food. So that's why I love it.
Thank you for that, Shanika. And I'm glad that you mentioned the Pinterest stories, because for sure that gives us such a wider reach. And I feel as if we get a whole new Pinterest family, even on our other platforms as well. So we mentioned the fact that it's search engine optimization, the fact that we can use so much of our content and inspire even, and nothing really gets on the cutting floor, and then the evergreen content and Pinterest stories. So I really like that. So we talked about reaching this wider audience. So now that we have them, how do we keep them engaged? What are some ways that you create content on Pinterest to engage your audience? And Anita, let's start with you again.
Okay, so two of my favorite things to use on Pinterest are Pinterest stories and the videos. And I particularly love Pinterest stories because it allows me to take my viewer through a journey. And it's also while I'm doing that, I'm also answering the questions. So I enjoy doing things like 5 steps on how to create a look or 5 places you should visit. It's just such a seamless way to create content that carries a user through the journey on their mobile and on the computer as well. Plus, I like that the story pins that I create do not expire. When you create story content, you put a lot of work into it. It's not as easy as just putting something out. You put some words and thoughts into it. And I like that content and that material that I'm keeping out there is going to be available to my viewer months, weeks, and years from now. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And then, of course, videos. Everyone loves a quick video, loves to show how I do this or how I found this. And I think that the Pinterest platform has made it so easy for people to access videos. And the videos, from my experience, they do really, really well. And I can see people engaging in them, commenting, liking and telling me this is a good job. And that feedback and the whole experience of it, to me, it's very beautiful.
Definitely Pinterest stories is a game changer. And Shaquita?
I'm going to have to say, because I'm such a detail-oriented person, a lot of times that does not do well on other platforms, but on Pinterest, because again, folks are coming for solutions. They want to know how to do things step by step. It really does help me thrive because I enjoy giving the detail and showing you how I achieved something. So again, going back to the story pins, I'm able to literally create a whole story and guide you step by step of how I achieved something. So that is one of the things that has been so huge for me, in that I'm able to thrive in just kind of how I naturally am.
Awesome. And Shanika?
Definitely going to have to piggyback off of Shaquita on that. I'm definitely a creative at heart, and I love being able to think outside of the box. And when it comes to food, I think that people enjoy that story when they're able to see step-by-step process of how I started something and then how I transformed it. So story pins definitely allows me to do that. And video pins have definitely opened up that new door of people being able to see that process as well.
I like it that you mentioned the details, both you and Shaquita, because I know even when my daughter does it, she does her beauty tips and she shares details. And then even with Anita mentioned the Pinterest stories, because to me, like even when I look at it, like you're so much more natural and just free on Pinterest in the stories, you're able to share so much, and then it reaches such a wider audience as well. So what are the biggest advantages of creating content for Pinterest? Let's start with you, Anita.
One really big advantage that I noticed years ago was that my following doesn't limit my reach. And I think that's such an amazing thing because, people are getting inspired to start creating every day. Someone is picking up a new camera or starting to explore new different things for themselves. So knowing that I can get on this platform and I can put out, inspiring content and people can see it and I don't have to do so much work. And, this platform rewards me for putting out great content as long as it makes sense. I think that's really, really beautiful. And I think it encourages, people who are looking to let out a creative outlet to try something new, to put out the content and not get discouraged when, you're not doing as good as you think you should be doing.
Definitely. Pinterest is like it just makes you feel good about your content because once you put it out there, you see the engagement, you see people actually looking at it and the best part is that it's evergreen content. So even if it doesn't do good right now, like next month, next year even. So definitely. And Chiquita?
I'm going to have to agree again in that the reach goes so far beyond your following and that you can get so many eyes on the content that you create. And like Anita said, whenever you put your all into the content that you're making and you drop it onto a platform and it just fizzles, it's so discouraging. But whenever you are able to put it out and you know that people are getting a chance to see the work that you've done and put your all into, it helps to keep you motivated because it's very easy to get discouraged. And then the other thing is that Pinterest has been so helpful for me in my paid partnerships. I actually landed a partnership for Pinterest via Clubhouse, and I recently posted all of the work that I did, put a whole day's work into it, and I got a return. And not only did I get a return, but the company gets a return on their investment because they've got all these eyes on their brand, they got all these eyes on their product, and then I get all these eyes on the work that I have put, my blood, sweat, and tears into, and my hours that I'll never get back. So it's so rewarding in that, you get so many eyes on the work that you put your all into.
That is amazing. Because, I know a lot of us are asking or want to know how we can monetize Pinterest. So the fact that you got brand deals and through a Clubhouse, that's like a win-win. So I love to hear that. And Shanika, how about you?
Definitely think that one of my advantages is just the fact that it's a balance. The fact that I have evergreen content that I did maybe a year, 2, 3 years ago, recipes that are still doing amazing, regardless of season. And then the fact that Pinterest also rewards you for doing fresh new content. So I think I just love the balance of being able to do both. Both my old and my new can be, seen and appreciated by the audience. And then also just direct contact to my website. People going straight to my website, being able to discover my email list, see other recipes. I think I just love the fact that it's just able to connect straight to exactly other content that I'm able to show people.
Amazing, because definitely evergreen content, story pins, the reward, that money, ka-ching, that's amazing. And for me, what I like of Pinterest is that it gives us warm leads. Because in sales and marketing, you don't want to be doing all this cold calling. So for me, Pinterest is bringing us people who actually are looking for our content, are interested in it already. So it cuts down a lot of the work. So now we're going to ask you, maybe go to our quick fire. So we're going to start with you, Anita. What's the favorite pin you've created?
I think my favorite pin was a pin I did about how to style a knit maxi dress. And I did it because I noticed that I wear this maxi dress style every winter. And it's like a maxi dress with a belt and a booth. And I get questions about it. So I went on Pinterest and I compiled a bunch of photos that I've taken in this style. And I did tips on how to style it and how to find the materials to style this look. And when I did it, it was just because I just noticed I do this a lot, so why not share it? But then it did so well, and people were like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. And the fact that my little idea answered someone's question, that was so beautiful to me. So ever since then, I've been going a bit more detail in my story pins, answering questions, giving them steps, so they have that for next time. It was just beautiful.
I love to hear it. I need to go find that pin and look for it. And Chiquita, how about you?
So again, just kind of go back to the pin that I recently created for a brand partnership. My husband, who is my partner in all of this, he takes my photos and now he does my videos. He is just off camera here supporting me. We put, again, a full day's work into creating this pin, getting all the video together, all the photos together, and, being able to put that together and inspire people, and then hitting it exactly where it needed to go. Because I'm able to see where people are saving this pin, and they're saving it on boards that correlate with what I created. So they are looking for this content. They were not only looking for it, they were able to find it and save it later for inspiration. So that was just so huge for me. And again, it did really well. So it was just really rewarding to see the work pay off and the return on the investment.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're getting rewarded monetarily, as well as the fact your husband is helping you, because that's amazing. I need him to come and tell my husband how to be a Pinterest husband, because I need it. And how about you, Shanika?
Honestly, my favorite pin has to be when I made overnight apple butter eggnog cinnamon rolls. So apple butter is the thing that's been trending. And I noticed that people really love cinnamon rolls, but they feel super intimidated because it's such a long process and it looks really complex. So I was able to create the story pin that kind of walked people through step by step and showed them like how your roll should be tightly rolled, and where to cut and how big to cut and how thin to roll your dough. So I think that people really appreciated it. And just based off of their response, I noticed that they really loved it. So that was my favorite.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm like instantly hungry. I want to eat that. So I need to go find all these pins and make sure that I support you, for one thing, but then I need that recipe as well. And I need to see how you styling that maxi dress, Anita. Excited to see all those pins. So what's the favorite idea that you've discovered on Pinterest? And let's start again with Anita.
Okay, so I am very big on cocktails. Like every weekend, I try to make myself a new cocktail or the other. And I think during the beginning of the lockdown, I went on Pinterest because I'd kind of exhausted all my cocktails like this. So I found a new way to make a lot of mimosas and different ideas. And if you're looking to make cocktails, Pinterest is a place to be. So I don't know. I just find new cocktails every week, and that to me is the best thing.
That sounds like something fun. Shaquita, how about you?
So I recently decided that I wanted to do a photo shoot and I wanted floral somehow incorporated, but I was like, I don't know what to do with them. Do I like hold them in my hand? Do I put them in my hair? Like what happens? So I just searched floral photo shoots on Pinterest, and I kept seeing these photos of girls in flower shirts. And it was essentially just, stems stuffed into their pants. And I was like, okay, yep, straight to the store, buy all the little stems, the little faux stems, and came home. My husband was like, ma'am, what are we doing? I was like, it's a shirt. Pinterest says I should wear it. But it came out so good. Like I would have never thought of that on my own. But of course, their Pinterest goes again with that inspiration. And that has to be like my current favorite thing.
I love that. That's so funny that he was like, man, where you go with that? And you said Pinterest told you. So that's true. Pinterest made me do it. And Shanika, how about you?
Honestly, because I am a food blogger and I cook all the time, sometimes I just don't want to make something complex. So for Pinterest, I always go on and just try to find like quick, easy weeknight meals, or something like a snack that I can actually try that's not super hard. And I stumbled upon cauliflower nachos, which for me was like so mind-blowing that instead of tortillas, you can actually use cauliflower. And it was really good. I actually tried it and it was really easy and good.
As you know, we've been trying to eat healthier. So that sounds like an even healthier version. So that sounds really good. So let's see. How about your favorite creator to follow on Pinterest? Let's start with you, Anita. Who is your favorite creator to follow on Pinterest?
Okay, so I have two beautiful women that I follow. One of them is Purita Pursuit. She's a travel blogger. And I just find the way she lays out her content to be so inspiring and so helpful, because her travel guides give so much information, and then the photos too, and then the tips she gives are so amazing that when I'm planning my trip, I'm like, where has she gone? And then I kind of do a collection and go from there. And then my second creator on Pinterest is Coco Bessie, Coco Mayo. She has so many great content. She does fashion and luxury. And her content is so beautiful and so simple. And every time I see it, I'm just like, I can achieve this, because it's wanting to put out amazing content. But, when you make it so easy to replicate, I think that's a beautiful thing. So those are my two favorite creators to follow.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing those. I think I already follow some of them, Coco at least. How about you, Shaquita?
This is such a hard question because I just love seeing creators create. It's one of the biggest motivations for me, but I will have to say that Nikki, you and your daughter are two of my favorite. I love what you guys do. I watch your pins and I love the way you guys lay things out in detail, and I'm taking notes and I'm like, yeah, I like that. It's kind of like you said, Anita, it's achievable. And when it seems achievable, then you're more likely to do it. So I love seeing what you guys do. And then also Coco Bessie, I don't know how she has a whole aesthetic. I like how are we doing this? It is just so aspirational, and I love the work that she does as well.
Thank you for saying that. That's so sweet of you. And definitely Coco with her aesthetics, beautiful. And Shanika, how about you?
Definitely a hard call, but I would say I love Half-Baked Harvest. I think I just love Tegan's complexity in terms of the ingredients that she uses and the combos. And then I also think I just love the way that she connects some of the recipes from like childhood favorites that she created based off of what her parents, made for her when she was a kid. So yeah, I think I just really love her overall style. I love her complexity in terms of ingredients and just, the connection with who she is.
I'm glad you mentioned that connection, because that's something that we could achieve on Pinterest and build that connection with our audience, because they always tell you if you tell a story, then you can pull people in and they feel as if, hey, they're your friends. So I love that you mentioned that. For me personally, our favorite is My Curly Adventures. I just love how she makes Texas look like it's a travel destination like in Europe or somewhere. I just love the job that she's doing. So where can everyone find you on Pinterest? And let's start with you, Anita.
All right, so you can find me across all platforms at Anita, AUNWETUH, and on my blog for tips and advice on thelotuspure.com.
Shaquita?
You can find me across all platforms at Unconventional Southern Belle and my website, The Unconventional Southern Belle.
Love it. And Shanika?
On all platforms at Orchids, the letter N, Sweet Tea, and then on my website, orchidsandsweettea.com.
I love it. And you can find me at Fashion Curious across all platforms, and that's FASH, the letter N, and Curious. Well, thank you, creators, for joining us. This was an amazing discussion. I feel as if we can talk for an entire week and still have so much more to say about Pinterest and so much more to learn, because it's such a diverse and awesome platform. And for those of you who are listening, if you have questions, make sure and drop them in the chat. The Pinterest creators are looking and we'll be monitoring them throughout the day. And be sure to follow us all on Pinterest and get to creating, because it's the platform that you want to be on. Thank you.
What's up, Black Gold fam? I'm Elizabeth Luke. I'm a brand communications lead here at Pinterest, and I'm also a member of our Black business resource group, Blackboard. I am thrilled to be here moderating this conversation around claiming space and owning your excellence as a Black creative in a digital world. It's going to be a great conversation today because representation matters. And I am so excited about the panel we've got here today to discuss it all. We have Dante Colley, a dancer and content creator, Nana Ajimine, founder of Every Stylish Girl, hey girl, and Kiana Smith Brunetto, founder of the American Influencer Council. So we have a full 360 conversation today, but not that much time. So just want to kick it off really quickly with a round of intros. Dante, we'll start with you.
Okay, cool. Hi guys, my name is Dante Colley. I am a dancer and content creator based in Toronto, Canada.
Hi, I'm Nana Adjamine, CEO and founder of Every Stylish Girl and multimedia journalist. I most recently ran the Cuts Instagram where I constantly reposted Dante. So what's up?
Oh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kiana Smith-Brunetto, and I'm the founder of the American Influencer Council, and I'm based in New York City.
So let's get into it. Dante, I want to start with you. Pinterest is the inspiration platform. We strive to be a place where people come to find inspiration and take action on an idea, not just scroll through. So we want to know, where do you draw inspiration from, and what's something that's been inspiring you lately?
Yeah, for sure. You know, given the circumstances that we're currently in, it's been definitely a challenge to kind of spark inspiration and find ways of being creative. But I think ultimately the most important thing is just doing what you need to do for yourself. Surrounding yourself with things that bring you joy, because those are going to be the things that are going to recharge you and fuel you up to kind of pursue whatever action you want to take on. For me, using the platform, I definitely have been trying to find ways of kind of creating an environment that I feel most comfortable in. And for me, I've never really had a space before of my own until the pandemic. I just recently moved out on my own. Yeah, thanks. Recently moved out on my own, and I'm really just trying to figure out how to just find my feng shui and find my space of inspiration. Because in that point, I'll be able to kind of move forward and just execute my ideas in the best way that I can. So I've just been searching through the feed and finding things that like bring me joy that I kind of just want to bring into my own environment, as well as so coming across so many other talented creatives as well. And I think that's like the most amazing thing as well. But yeah.
Awesome. Yes, really amazing. I'm sure I see a plant right there. So pinning other things like that. That's fantastic. You know, good to find the silver lining, especially right now. Kiana, would love to turn it to you. The influencer space is obviously now well established, and it's clear that every platform has its different purpose and audience. How have you seen the industry evolve over time, and what's Pinterest's place in it?
Yeah, you know, I think with the startup economy, you have more creators entering the influencer market, and, you know, creators are really changing the narrative that they are American small business owners. And when you think about any entrepreneur, all of us on this panel, you know, entrepreneurs solve market problems. And what I love about Pinterest is that, you know, consumers come to Pinterest to find ideas. And so there's this natural symbiosis on the platforms, because creators as entrepreneurs have this incredible consumer group where they can create content to empower, inspire, and entertain.
Absolutely. And speaking to a content creator, Nana, it takes a ton of confidence to persevere through the daily challenges of being an entrepreneur and a creative. Where do you draw confidence from in your space? And what's one thing you say or do every week that has that yes factor and makes you feel confident in the moment?
Right. So every time I do a panel, I always like to give tips and people to follow. And right now I've been really, really inspired by 3 women in particular, because they are women who wear many hats in terms of being entrepreneurs, running businesses, etc. So one is Chrissy Rutherford. She actually used to be one of the leads at Harper's Bazaar, but just launched an anti-racist consulting company. Another woman who, if you follow her on Instagram, I'm sure you're obsessed with all her content, is Elaine Welterworth. um, former editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, and lastly, Jackie Aina. Like, she has just been giving me Black women luxury all up and down social right now. And I love her because she's also an entrepreneur. So I think for me, and you mentioned this, Elizabeth, it's very difficult to straddle between being a content creator, an entrepreneur, and a journalist, but seeing these women live it day, every single day really motivates me. And then also my yes claps moment is, this is something really small, but I write daily goals down. Does anyone else do this?
I feel you, girl.
I'd love to say I do.
Right.
I'm just not organized enough.
And so they say 50% more people actually achieve those goals when they write them down daily. And so my feel good moment is just crossing off my goals every day and being like, yes, sis, did that. I would definitely have to say it's that makes me feel good at the end of the day.
I love that. It also makes me, first of all, I love that we shouted out all those incredible women, very see it, be it. And I also think about Amanda Gorman and how every time she's about to perform, she has her mantra that she says that, she's the daughter of descendants. And I don't remember the specific entire kind of monologue that she uses, but it is just so empowering to think about all of the people that got us to where we are now, and how they would be, pretty proud of what we're trying to do right now. Awesome. So I guess the next question I have is kind of in the same realm of confidence building and breaking through challenges. And this one is for everyone because we all need tips and perspective on this. Okay, so this next question is for everyone. As Black business owners and creatives, you have unique challenges and opportunities to break through, represent diverse voices, and build audiences. We deal with imposter syndrome, discrimination, but we're also a beacon for those who are looking for a reflection of themselves. There are so many people who haven't been able to connect with creators that look like them before, and that's a richer space than it's ever been before now. Can you walk us through how you combat those obstacles so that you can break through?
I'll just jump into this one. For me, I think the best place that I can feel the most confident to be vulnerable is at Sip and Slay. So if you're not familiar, this is just a digital networking event that we have for Black and Brown women to attend. And it's been such an important space, especially during quarantine, because a lot of people are stuck at home. They feel really lonely. So to be able to gather and bring a global audience of Black and Brown women, we just vent. I always say it's like entering into a supportive group chat. Like, we go in on everyone, but also in that moment, you feel really empowered and you want to take on the whole world. So I think for me, that's definitely a safe moment, a safe space for us to talk about mental health, but also empower one another.
I love that. So the tip I'm taking away there is find safe spaces with like-minded people and build confidence from there. Fantastic.
I think as a leader, you have an obligation to open doors and to, create opportunities for underrepresented groups. And I love that you mentioned Chrissy Rutherford, because when she was at Harper's Bazaar, I gave her probably her first influencer campaign. So, I think that it's important to, always lift people up. And, one of the reasons why I founded the American Influencer Council was to, create the seat and the table for creators, because there are so many times I have felt that brands or the platforms did not provide the opportunities when the market's called influencer marketing. So it's important that when you are in a role, in a position of power, that you always try to elevate and take people with you.
And to even add on to that point, I think it's so important to remember that we all have something so unique and so special to bring to the table that no one else can bring. So it's so important to understand that you are literally the only one that can do what you do. And just be confident in who you are and what you are, because there's no one else like you. And I think that's really what I try to encourage on all of my social media platforms, because I never saw a reflection of myself when I started on the internet. It was more so of a place that I felt out of place. And I really decided to just step into who I am and really not care what other people thought of me, because at the end of the day, that's not my business. It's important to just find like-minded people, like you said. And I think these are such amazing, incredible platforms to build those communities and just connect with those people within those communities as well. The relationships that you can find long-term are so impactful and long-lasting. It's just beautiful.
Amazing. Thank you all for those tips. I have so many more questions and not that much time. So we were able to negotiate a rapid fire round. So basically I have about 4 more questions. It's going to be first thing that comes to your mind. And I'd love to hear from all of you if we can kind of squeeze it in. So I'm just going to get started. For those who are just getting started as a creator or business owner, what's one piece of advice you wish you had when you were beginning?
Fail fast.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
That's it.
Okay, love that. Fail fast. That's a good one. What's one way you use Pinterest as a source for inspiration?
You know, I love it for photo shoots. I think that photo shoots, it's like the best place to get all of your mood boards and get your creative team involved and make sure, everyone is contributing to, the idea generation. I always come back to that, so people feel, collaborative, because Pinterest, you share a board and then everyone's like getting involved, and that's so much fun.
Graphic design tips. I've learned a lot of things just searching things online, and especially on Pinterest, you can find plenty of tips and tricks on navigating these different applications to get you started or continue to introduce you to new ways of creating things.
Yeah, I actually want to piggyback off of that, Dante, because a lot of our graphics, we actually pull inspiration from Pinterest, and we get ideas of especially colors and tones that work really well together. And same, everything, mood boards, colors, tones, graphics. Pinterest literally is the one-stop shop for everything.
Period.
Period. Okay, awesome. What are some tips you can provide on how to cultivate a safe space online for people to share and engage with your content?
I think it's honestly just knowing that not everybody is going to like you, and that's completely okay. If you just share the parts of yourself that you're most proud of and the most raw parts of yourself, not saying that you have to tell everybody everything, but I feel like we're all human beings. We all have our own little way of how we navigate our journeys. And who knows, one little tip that you share may be a stepping stone for somebody else to help them climb. We're all climbing together. We're all in this together, especially in a time like this. So don't be afraid of not being liked, because you got another thing coming. There's a lot of people out there that don't.
Thank you.
I always say that the best part of my life is not on social media. You gotta keep a little something private. And I think that also kind of helps balance, your mental health as well, because you can't give everything, because people will take and dissect everything as well. So, you gotta protect yourself and find some ways to protect and safeguard yourself as well.
It's a great tip.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. And I also think being your most raw, authentic self works best oftentimes when you're trying to cultivate a community and a safe space online. It's just be you. as Dante said, we're so unique. And I think when you mimic other people, people aren't as drawn to you. Like Dante's a great example. He is his most authentic self. And I think that's what makes him so incredibly original on social media. It makes people gravitate towards him. It's like, just be you.
I appreciate you.
Love it. All right. Last question. What affirmation, mantra, or prayer would you like to offer the group?
Wow, that's like, oh.
This is one that I've learned from my performing arts director in high school that's kind of stuck with me forever and has encouraged me to be my raw, authentic self. And I said it a little bit earlier on, but what other people think of you is none of your business, especially on these platforms. You're going to put your stuff out there. You're going to put your content out there. It's not about the likes. It's not about the comments. Who knows? One little thing it happened with me. It was just I've been doing this for several years, and it was 2 years ago that something clicked. So just keep doing you.
Yeah, I also just want to say, like, you know, speaking of success, and a lot of people think it comes overnight, right? People think like, oh, we got this following or this grew this business. No, success actually takes 5 to 10 years to reach. So like, I don't know how long you both have been working on your business, but like, I'm finally scratching the surface and I've been in it for 4 years. So like, that's my message, that, you know, don't sleep on your daydreams. Please don't. Like, it's going to happen, but you got to be consistent and give it at least 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite quotes is from Matisse, and it's creativity takes courage, you know, so never, always persevere and, you know, push and power through, because when you're creative, you give a little bit of yourself, and that takes a lot of courage.
I love those. I feel so motivated. And I'm going to actually offer mine too, which is from my meditation group. And it's, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And you can't control your external circumstances, but you can control your reaction to them when you cultivate equanimity. So we've made it clear that overnight success is a myth. And all of you have kind of scratched the surface on your not so overnight story about being discovered recently, or doing the work you've been doing for 4 years, or, you know, helping establish the entire industry. I'd love to hear more about kind of those moments of clarity, if there is one you can offer, where you saw months or years of work culminate in a larger step forward.
I feel like I can speak for a lot of Black content creators, because we've had this conversation many times. And I definitely think it was like the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement this past spring, where everyone's inbox, if you're a Black creator, was being flooded, right? With partnerships, opportunities. And in a way, it was bittersweet because, you know, like many of us, we've been working for over 3+ years on our craft, and finally getting the visibility due to an unfortunate situation was a little frustrating, right? But I think what I took out of that is like, you know, keep holding companies accountable, keep having these conversations with them. Don't let it be a one-off relationship. And also use this time too as well to like speak to your audience about what's going on and being very transparent. Because I think a lot of us, like, you know, when we talk about that overnight success, some people woke up with 10,000 more followers the next day, right? So I think it's really, really important to kind of like understand, like, with growth comes a lot more work too as well, and having those tough conversations with companies to hold them accountable.
Thank you.
I think something to add on as well is it's okay to have a part-time job and be a creator as well. I started working in customer service when I was 16 and then moved to retail. And during that duration of time, I was doing what I loved to do, which was create digital content, but I was still fueling that with a job that I necessarily didn't think I was going to be in forever, but was okay because of the people like I surrounded myself with and learned from. So I think it's just so important to just understand that, yeah, it's not overnight. It's going to take a long time took 7 years for me to still not really understand where I really want to go, but understand a place where I'm grateful and appreciative enough to keep doing what I love, which is creating meaningful content.
Yeah, and just to build on something you said earlier, you mentioned that you kind of more distinctly found your voice 2 years ago. Can you tell me what the difference is between then, before you found your voice, and now, and how you move differently because of that discovery?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had many circumstances in my life that have been super challenging. And at the end of high school, I lost my sister to suicide. And for me, that's when I was just starting to introduce myself onto Instagram or onto a social media platform. And then I didn't necessarily think that I needed to share anything at all. But it wasn't until I started to actually tell the reason why I was creating the content that I was doing that it was making an impact that I always wanted it to make. It was still, at the end of the day, about trying to make people smile or make someone a little bit more happy, because I know what it feels like to not see a reflection of yourself on these platforms and feel like an outsider. So I really wanted to try my best to create community, because you never know what anybody else is going through at the end of the day.
Right. Thank you.
I'm excited to see the professionalism of this space evolve. I think that, for some of us who've been in this trade for, nearly 2 decades, I think that, a lot of people thought this was a gig, and now this is, a legitimate multi-billion-dollar industry. And my career defining roles were created for me. There were no social media departments at the Fortune 500 brands that I was at. And so it's so exciting to see this space evolve. And some of my favorite platforms like Pinterest start a creator program. And so I think, as more opportunities for creators and digital marketing entrepreneurs open up, it just makes this space stronger. And having, programs like Black Gold that, reinforce the need for inclusivity, is just the right way forward.
Awesome. That's where I'm going to leave it today. And I just want to thank everyone for creating space today. I hope that you all know how to claim more space for yourselves and create that representation to empower others as well. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Thank you to our wonderful esteemed panelists, and hope you enjoyed tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Spickard, and I lead our fashion and beauty vertical for creators here at Pinterest. And I'm so excited to have you all here today for our fireside chat with makeup artist Keita Moore. Keita and I have known each other for a few years, and he is a mentor of mine. And I'm so excited to have him here today. You may recognize his work from Anastasia Beverly Hills campaigns. He works with a ton of amazing celebrities: Dasha Polanco, Fantasia, Mariah Carey, Nicki Minaj. And he is such an inspiration to me. And I'm so excited for you all to meet him today and dive into his career journey, how he came to be the social media and makeup powerhouse that he is today. So Keita, take it away, give us a little intro, and then we can start our chat.
Hello, everyone. Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much, Casey. I'm excited to be here today. And I'm Keita Moore, known on social media as Kill Pretty. You guys may know me from working with celebrities like Casey said, and doing campaigns and stuff like that. And I'm super excited to be here. Casey, you are glowing. And I told you not to show me up, and you're showing me up today. What's going on?
I put on a beat just for you.
You look nice. You look nice.
You're gorgeous and glowing as well, my doll.
Oh, thank you.
So I think everyone knows a little bit about you from social media, but I think what would be super interesting is to just learn more about your career journey, right? From Matt Counter to Mariah Carey's makeup artist, there's like kind of bookending, I think, a lot of the journey that you've taken. And so just take us through your journey into becoming a makeup artist and how you got started and how you got to where you are today.
Wow. First of all, let me start by saying I love that title, from Mac artist to Mariah Carey's makeup artist. That's just something that's just like, it really takes me back to my beginning and how I've started to become who I am today and started doing makeup. So first of all, when I started makeup, I had no idea that I would be, doing the type of things that I'm doing today. I was led by faith every step of the way. And, it's just been sort of an incline throughout the years. And it's just some amazing things that have happened in my life that I'm so grateful for. I started makeup 8 years ago. I've been an artist all my life. I was raised to be an artist. I went to MCC and got my associates in fine arts. I was first introduced to beauty through my mom, who's a beauty girl. She loved to wear makeup. I see her put on makeup every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. Every time she would come to school, everyone would be like, oh my gosh, your mom is so beautiful. And even back then, earlier on, it gave me an idea on how powerful makeup was. And I knew that I wanted to do something to that effect. I didn't think I would want to do makeup at all. But my mom was also a makeup artist. She was a director at Mary Kay. I've seen her, going through it for years and pushing and stuff like that and striving. It really showed me the strength that I needed for my own career. And just to give you a little bit about where I'm from Rochester, New York, which is 6 hours away. So everything that I've done from 6 hours away from the city. And I'm excited about that because it really shows that if you really want something, you'll go out there and get it. I remember when I first had the thought of doing makeup and started my makeup journey. First of all, like I told you, I got my associates in fine arts, but I wasn't working and doing what I love. I was working a 9 to 5 behind a desk, answering phone calls all day. And I knew that this has to change. So my friend, she was hosting a fashion show in Rochester, New York. And she's like, oh my gosh, Keita, one of my makeup artists built on me. You're an artist, you can do it. And I'm just like, no, I can't, Immediately, I'm like, no, I can't. The anxiety set in. And she's like, yes, you can. So she talked me into it. I ended up getting some of my mom's Mary Kay products. She had like some old stuff. I went and got it, put it in a little paper plastic bag. And I went to MAC. And I remember my first purchase ever was Nicki Minaj pink lipstick. So we can name this session from buying Nicki Minaj pink lipstick to working with Nicki Minaj. Yes. I like that one too. I thought that, hey, if Nicki Minaj is wearing this pink lipstick, everyone's gonna love this pink lipstick. So I ended up going on set, and when I got on set, I was so intimidated because I remember there was these other 2 makeup artists and they had kits full of makeup, full of lipsticks, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm not prepared. But when I started to do the girls' makeup, I had a line of models behind me saying, oh no, I want him to do my makeup. I want him to do my makeup. And I'm like looking at the other girls and they had no one in their chair. And I'm like, whoa, I think I'm really good at this. And when I first started doing makeup, I knew what I was doing because I'm a portrait artist. I've been drawing and painting and working with colors and shades all my life. So it was just like, you're doing the same thing on that you would be drawing or painting, but it's just on the face, actual face. So it kind of, made it a little bit easy for me. But then, when I got that confidence that I can do makeup, I ended up applying to MAC Cosmetics. Before that, I started working with my nieces. They were my guinea pigs. I learned what to do, what not to do. And I took pictures of them. And when I built up enough confidence, I took it to the MAC counter. I started working at MAC I worked there for maybe 8 months, and that's where I learned all that I needed to know about makeup, foundations, concealers, setting. And I even back then, I knew that I wanted skin to be my thing. I was so obsessed with skin, different skin tones, different skin types, shades, all that. You know, it was my specialty. Also, when I was at MAC Cosmetic, the cool thing is I was kind of deemed the face chart king, which is so funny. If you guys don't know what a face chart is, it's pretty much just a blank paper with a silhouette of a woman, and you put makeup on there to get ideas. And I used to turn them into creatures. I turned them into celebrities. I really just changed the shape of how people do face charts. I was the one to start that. So we became kind of big on social media together. Like, you know, it was Mac Boy, Mac Girl was a thing. And they, I kind of accumulated maybe like 30, 40,000 followers way back then. It's when makeup was just a craze and everyone wanted to know, like, you know, what is this? People was just becoming like super infatuated with it. And I remember doing Rihanna as a face chart. And that's when her Rihanna Love Mac line came out. And she ended up reposting it and following me on Instagram. And I literally got like 15,000 followers immediately. The algorithm was just, as soon as you posted it, everyone would see it. And, you know, it wasn't so common to see makeup. So that's when I figured out how powerful social media was on my journey and on my career. I ended up leaving MAC 8 months later, and I started to venture out. You know, I started to feel like, okay, let me go show New York City what I can do. So I would catch the train, the bus back and forth to New York. My first time coming, I had a little lunchbox kind of thing. You know, the little lunchbox makeup kits that you open and they come out. And
the silver ones that like do this.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. And I had that. I could show you a picture. I'll show it to you. And I went for Love and Hip Hop auditions. And I met some amazing artists in line that day. And the line was literally like, I want to say like 4 or 5 hours that we waited in. And when I got there, they had kind of set up like American Idol. It was like 3 or 4 agents and they had cameras and lighting. So I think they may have been filming their own reality show. But when I got there, I had a hat like this. So like my little beanies. Mm-hmm. And I had on some glasses and she was like, hey, remove your glasses for me, remove your hat. She's like, I know you. Her name is Dakota. She's like, I know you. I follow you on Instagram and your work is just so amazing. She was telling me all these things about myself and I'm just like feeling myself like, yes, okay, yeah. So I ended up started to work at Love and Hip Hop, but only for the reunions. And then I remember, but I would always go back and forth to Rochester. Now, mind you, I didn't have any money. I was just, you know, getting paid and getting my bus ticket without a way back, without a place to stay. But I was like literally going out there doing it. And that just shows how strong, you know, my faith was when, you know, doing makeup, you know, showing people that I can do this. So Cynthia Bailey came to Rochester and she was doing a speaking engagement and it was no one got paid for it. It was a charity event. And she posted on her social media, I'm looking for a makeup artist in Rochester, New York. And all of a sudden I got all these notifications and people were tagging me. And I'm just like, wait, what's going on? So I go to my Instagram and, you know, she was looking for a makeup artist. She DM'd me. I worked with her. I didn't get paid for it because, you know, she was like, hey, it's a charity event. No one's getting paid for it. But if you work with me, you know, I'll make sure that if I love it, I work with you. So I was like, okay, cool. So I did her. She absolutely loved it. She's like, oh my gosh, I just feel so beautiful. Her daughter was like, Mom, you never looked like this in your life. And I was like, what? This is Cynthia Bailey's daughter telling her this. So she called me maybe a week later. I was like, hey, can you come to New York for Watch What Happens Live? And I'm like, yes, that's like my big thing, my first time big thing that's going on TV. And I'm just like, yes, I'm ready. So I ended up doing her for Watch What Happens Live. And then I did her again. And then her co-host was like, oh my gosh, who's doing Cynthia in New York City? I want to get done up by him too. So I started to do Sheree, and I started to do Portia, and then Nene Leakes came. And, you know, we all love Nene Leakes. So I
We love Nene.
We love Nene. Best memes in the world. Best sayings goes to Nene Leakes. So I started to work with Nene Leakes, and she became my client while working with some of the other girls. And then I started to work with Anastasia Beverly Hills. I did my first campaign with them, being flown back and forth to LA for that. I didn't have no idea what I should charge for a campaign, but, you know, I did what I had to do, you know, and it came out really great. And I started to work with more of like Fantasia, and then more like celebrities. And then I remember when I was on tour with Fantasia, CoverGirl reached out to me, and I was like, this can't be real, because, you know, if it was CoverGirl, it would come from CoverGirl, you know. But, you know, typically it comes from a production who CoverGirls hire to get their campaigns together and get everything together. So at this point, I'm being overwhelmed with work, and people want to work with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to work with the agency. But I always felt like I wasn't good enough to work for an agency. And I was pushing it off, like, I gotta wait till this comes out. I gotta wait till I do this, or I gotta wait till I get on this type of client, or I gotta do this and that, and this, that, and the third. So when I got off a tour, mutually, me and my agency kind of reached out to each other, and I met with them, and I ended up signing with them. Well, I met with 3 other agencies, but I ended up signing with the only agency because it just felt real. It felt genuine. And I felt that we would be working collectively together because we were pitching each other to each other. Mm-hmm. You know, it's very important to go off the energies and go off of how you feel, you know, because at the end of the day, that's the universe of God's way of directing you on the right path and the right decision, you know, making the right decisions, you know. Mm-hmm. So even though something may seem like, oh my gosh, this is a bigger opportunity, it's a bigger agency, that doesn't always necessarily mean that it's good and bigger for you. You know, go with how you feel. So when I signed with my agency, at this time, CoverGirl had reached out again, and they were like, this is CoverGirl, we know, and because, you know, we worked campaigns with Mario. And I'm like, wow, you know, it's amazing. So I started working with CoverGirl, and at this point I have my agency, and they're introducing me to new relationships, and we're kind of just working together. And started working with Mariah, started working with Nicki Minaj, start to do a lot of things with CoverGirl. I think I did maybe 70% of their campaigns that year. And here I am today working with other brands, and happy to be here, and so excited to be here.
I love it. Pinterest. And, yes, and here you are as a creator on Pinterest. And I actually met you on a CoverGirl shoot. So I was assisting Nam, and you were with a couple other assistants, and I was like, oh, it's Kill Pretty. and then wow. we started like becoming friends and working together. So there's like always this CoverGirl moment for us.
It's always a CoverGirl moment for us. Yes. I remember meeting you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you're so like stylish. Like, I love that necklace. You so always wear the necklace. It was like, was it a hat?
Oh yes, my hat necklace. Yes.
I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving with that necklace. You know, it's always just good energy on a set when I'm on a set with you, Casey. You know, you are such an amazing person. You give out such an amazing vibe. You just pour out like this sense of positivity, you know, that people need to see, you know, and it's good to be on set with people like that.
You're making me blush. not the bronzer I put on, it's actually blush. So I know, like, being on set with you, like social media, you're always thinking about what the content you're creating, whether it's on set, whether it's a shoot just for content creation for social. You know, you're working with all these different celebrities. Like you just did that shoot for Mary J. Blige that you posted on Instagram. Talk to me about how, obviously you have all of this work that you're doing with your clients, but then you're also showing up in a big way on social, and that's across all the different social platforms. And just talk to me about having a social media presence and why that's key for your brand, and just like how you approach it and think about it.
Well, the first thing, my first piece of advice that I would give you is to have fun with it. First of all, you know, don't take it too much into the head. You know, I think that the thing that holds the most people back is fear, and fear of being, now social media has become a thing of mental, and people feel like if they don't get likes, they're not accepted, or people don't love it, or they'll delete it, and that'll just stop them. You know, first of all, when you're speaking with your audience, when you're posting with your audience, whether it's 5 people you go live with and talk to, treat that 5 people like it's 5 million people, you know, because eventually the word will spread and the audience will grow, and then people will want to know who you are. So my biggest thing is consistency. Not only consistency, but putting good quality work out there and not being afraid to do so. Give it your all, you know?
Yeah.
Another thing that I would say too is you want to make sure that you're leaving your personal life separate from your business life. There is no such thing now as people wanting to know, do you have a website? People want to know, do you have a Pinterest? Do you have an Instagram? What's your YouTube handle? So they want to know those things. These are our portfolio. So you want to make sure that you only post content that's going to get you the type of job that you want, you know, that's going to put you on a different kind of path that you want. There's no right way, no wrong way to do makeup. If you do it whatever way, do it the best way that you know how to, and things will come your way. Quick story. I was always figuring, every time I get a job, I try to figure out, like, how did I get this job? Where did it come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if it's just something that's like, wow. Thing for CoverGirl was, I was thinking the same thing. And I asked the producer, like, how did you guys find me? The president of CoverGirl, who was a Black woman, her name is Erica Woods. She had been following me for years. And they're like, oh my gosh, she'll be so excited to meet you. And I'm like, she want to meet me? Like, the president of CoverGirl wants to meet me? So, vice president. So I met her on the shoot, and I got her Instagram, and she has 200 followers and a private account.
Yeah.
So you can't judge a person's account based on numbers, because if it's not that person, it's someone who knows that person, and like, oh my gosh, look at this guy's work. You know, that's how you become found, you know? So don't think because you don't have a huge following, people aren't looking. My best piece of advice is to, like, worry on, as long as you have the right people following you, that's what really matters.
Yeah. And talk to me about the types of content that you're pushing to your different channels, Instagram versus a Pinterest versus a TikTok. Like, what's your approach? I think one thing I notice is, like, you're always telling these rich stories kind of contained within the content you're posting, but talk to me about how you think about the content creation for different channels.
Well, first of all, can I talk about my history with Pinterest just a little bit?
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, when I started to do campaigns, I got introduced to Pinterest. It's just become a major part of my journey as well, because anytime I would need inspiration, I wasn't typing it in Instagram. I wasn't typing it in Google. I was going to the Pinterest app and typing it in Pinterest. And Pinterest always had a way of taking me directly to everything that I needed to see for that inspiration. So for instance, if I was to see a gold eye, I would see a quality photo of gold eyes and like different types of gold eyes. And you go there and you think you want one thing and you're like, oh my gosh, this is it right here. This is exactly what I need. I'm inspired by this look right here. So it just takes you to different places, and it really keeps your kept my creativity flowing throughout the years. And then I started to create boards. And by doing so, for set work, it's been a major thing when it comes to like business, because some people use Pinterest as a way to connect everybody. So connecting the hairstylists, connecting the makeup artists, the production, the nails, so that we all can have a board to look at and grab our ideas from. So when I think of Pinterest, I think of knowledge. I think of inspiration. I think of education. So when I'm posting on Instagram, I'm posting more of like, photos that I'm excited to post about. Like I went in there to do it. I love this work. Here you guys go. I'm excited about it. These are the details. Now they have reels. I create the reels. I do something fun with the look, and I put it on Instagram as just a reel, but then I'll take that same look over to Pinterest, and I'll post it the way that I like to go on Pinterest to look at things, to get knowledge, to get inspiration. So that's what I want to bring to Pinterest, because if I'm going there for it, tons of other people is going to Pinterest for that same reason. So approaching Pinterest is more like, it's a breakdown.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited that you guys have the story pins, which I've been so blessed to use over the past 4 or 5 months. And it's just all about creativity on just a bigger level. And also, I get to educate and have fun with my following. The algorithm has been amazing. I start to see myself everywhere. I start to see my work everywhere. Now, when I start to see my work on Pinterest a few years ago, and I started to see it everywhere, and people were saving it in boards, I felt the sense of, I made it. Yes, wow, my work is everywhere. So that's how I kind of like identify what I'm going to post on different social media networks.
Yeah, I feel like for story pins, your content even like started some trends within story
fun.
pins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you did the multi-video pin cover,
like,
and I started seeing people do that.
Doing this now.
Yeah. I was like, oh, starting another trend, Keita.
Yes, that's what it's all about. Creating trends.
Yeah. Let's talk about your personal brand. I think getting to know you as an artist on set in this type of chat, I feel like your authenticity, you're so genuine, you're so humble, and you have a way of connecting with people that makes them feel like the only person in the room, even if you're on a set of 100 people. And I would love to just talk more about how you kind of maintain like your own kind of groundedness, your authenticity in the work that you do, and how you think about that, and any recommendations or tips that you have for people who are not even necessarily in the makeup industry, but they're just kind of navigating their career journey.
First of all, thank you so much. Even when I hear stuff like that, or when people see me in that kind of light, it really makes me, feel so grateful. Like, my thing is gratitude. Every day before I go on set, I'm praying before I go on set that it's an amazing day and it's a bright day. And for that to happen, you have to be that example as well. You have to be the energy in the room that, can shift, even if it's a bad day, even if the energy is bad, you have to be that type of light to be able to shift the energy, and you treat everyone as if they are Beyonce. Yeah. Whether it's the person that's just behind the counter making popcorn, so my thing is to make sure that I'm connecting with everyone. And a funny thing is, like, even though you assist Namvo, I was like, oh my gosh, he's an amazing person, he's an amazing artist, I'm looking at your work, and you were able to assist me on a few jobs as well. So when I say you want to treat everyone the same way, you never know when someone is going to be in a position to bless you, and me and you, we are, proof of that, and, when you started working with Pinterest, like, you gave me some opportunities to make sure that I was able to shed my light and be able to create in just another way, and that's why it's super important, because you just never know when someone is going to be in the position to bless you as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, like, I've learned that from you in a lot of ways. Like, you really don't know who you're going to encounter, and where in 3 years, 5 years, where they're going to be able to bless you. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that comes through in your work too. Like, you can tell that the people who sit in your chair feel that energy, and they feel beautiful, and it really shines through. Going back to something that you said before about your journey and feeling like you weren't ready to sign with an agency or move to that part of your career. I think everyone kind of deals with that imposter syndrome in a lot of ways. I mean, even myself personally. So I would love to talk more about how you kind of pushed through that. How did you, what did you do to kind of get through that? Because I think anyone in any facet of their life hits that kind of roadblock sometimes.
Faith over fear. That has been my thing throughout my entire journey. Faith over fear. Even when I go knock on the door and it's Nicki Minaj on the other end of the door, you know, I'm afraid. Like I have anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, like because you just don't know if they're gonna love you or they're gonna like you or not. You know. So, but you have to have the faith to go in there and give your very best. Just like you have to have your faith to reach out to an agent and not be afraid to hear a no. That's the worst that can happen is a no. This industry, you have to have thick skin because you get opportunities and you're excited about them and they never go through. And, you know, I've had my share of times where I felt like I wasn't good enough when I heard no's and I'm just like, oh, it broke me down. But I had to get up and get over it. And I always see that as an opportunity for a bigger yes, a bigger door to open. You know, that door was too small for you. It wasn't for you right now. Maybe it'll come back around later. But you really just have to have the faith in yourself and push fear aside, because I feel like a lot of times, you know, fear stops a lot of people. A lot of people have anxiety and they just feel like they're not good enough. But you have to have the faith in yourself to know that you are. And that's how you get over those type of things. And that's what I had to do with my agency as well.
Yeah,
it wasn't easy, but I had to go out there and do it. Like showing up to different clients is not easy, but I have to do it. You know, I'm making sure that I'm in a good space before, telling myself like, you're going to kill this. It's going to be an amazing day. She's going to love you. They're going to love you. Just go in there and wow them, be your true authentic self, because at the end of the day, you can be the best artist in the world. You really can be the best artist in the world, but have a messed up attitude and lose opportunities because of that. And these people don't want to work with you because of that. So that's why it's really important to be, you know, grateful for everything and also be a beacon of light even for your clients.
Yeah. And I guess
so faith over fear.
What would be your one piece of advice for creators, like looking to grow their audiences on Pinterest?
I would say is to just, like I said, give your all, be consistent with everything that you do. Even if you're saving pins, make it creative. Sometimes I go to people's page, they don't have the story pins yet, but I go to their page and I'm interested to see what they're saving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this person is so interesting. Like, I love, you know, their creative ideas, the things they're saving, you know, what's going on in their mind type thing. So, you know, just make it your own space as if you would going into a blank room with 4 white walls. You get what I'm saying? So it's important to be authentic and be yourself.
And talk to me why you feel like Pinterest is part of like one of the big tools in your creator toolkit. Like talk to me about how you use it and like what's your advice when people are creating story pins?
So I find it so intriguing because the story pins have been so amazing. I'm always on different people's story pins, just trying to see, because if they're, for instance, like if there's a person who is doing home decor and I'm looking, it's the same thing, but like kind of a different, just a different area. Like makeup is the same thing. The way you market is the same. You can look at different people and get ideas on how to market your own brand, even though they're in a whole nother career.
Yeah.
You know, so I have been inspired by so many other artists that has been creating story pins, even if it's not makeup, if it's hair, if it's photography. Like I'm learning a lot myself. I'm still a student. I will always be a student, and I will never feel like I've arrived. You know, because I always learn so much. And I don't just use Pinterest for inspiration and makeup. So home decor, I'm always like trying to figure out ways that I can jazz up my space. Cook, I'm always trying to find different ways how to create different recipes, vegan recipes, and I'll have someone coming over, even though they won't know that I went on Pinterest to get the ideas and the recipes. You know, that's none of their business, but the food is still good, you know. I'm just inspired to go on Pinterest for every aspect of my life, basically.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I think hearing about your journey and learning about how you've built your career is so inspiring. And make sure to follow @KillPretty on Pinterest. He's creating tons of really beautiful tutorial, education, beauty content, and just your light shines through everything that you create. I'm so happy that we were able to do this and to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You were amazing. And I was so happy to be able to meet with you today, to connect with my audience, and to just be real and honest, and to let people know, you know, how I use Pinterest and different social medias. And thank you for giving me a platform to tell my story, because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I don't get to tell that all the time, and it's been great.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
I am delighted to introduce our in-closing speakers, Sandrine Charles and Lindsay Peoples-Wagner of the Black in Fashion Council. Sandrine Charles is the founder and owner of Sandrine Charles Consulting, a boutique public relations and consulting agency, with Sandrine spearheading efforts with 12 plus years of experience. In 2016, she opened the doors of Sandrine Charles Consulting, specializing in fashion and lifestyle communications, strategy, events, celebrity, and influencer engagement. In addition to running a communications business, Sandrine is the co-founder of the Black in Fashion Council. The organization was founded to represent and secure the advancement of Black individuals in the fashion and beauty industry. As a collective, we envision a world in which Black people in fashion and beauty spaces can be open and honest, guaranteed equal rights, and be celebrated for our voices. Lindsay Peoples-Wagner is the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, a role she's held since October 2018, and the co-founder of the Black in Fashion Council. She previously spent 5 years as an editor at The Cut and New York Magazine, a role she took following her time as the fashion market reporter at Style.com. While at The Cut, she won the ASME Next Award in 2017, honoring outstanding achievement by a magazine journalist under the age of 30, and wrote the critically acclaimed Everywhere and Nowhere, What It's Really Like to Be Black and Work in Fashion, that featured more than 100 people of color's insights and perspective on diversity in fashion. This was featured in The Cut in September 2018. More recently, she was celebrated among Business of Fashion's 2019 BOF 500 and named to the 2020 Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Earlier in her career, she spent 2 years as a fashion market assistant at Teen Vogue, where she returned after a stint at the Oprah magazine. It was at Teen Vogue where she began her career as an assistant working in the fashion closet under the founding editor-in-chief, Amy Astley. Lindsay, who hails from Wisconsin, graduated from Buena Vista University with a bachelor's degree in art and journalism and currently resides in Brooklyn. I mean, these bios are impressive. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
And I appreciate you both, making the time. I know everybody is busy, and I want to dive right in. So tell us more about the Black in Fashion Council. We have an audience here of Black creators, entrepreneurs, and business owners. Please walk us through why it was important for you to claim this space and speak up about the gaps that your industry is currently facing.
Yeah, I'll start. So, Sandrine and I had a lot of conversations last year as I think a lot of people were rereading my piece from The Cut about what it's like to be Black in fashion. And so many conversations after the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor really felt like, how do we move this conversation forward? And for us, we're businesswomen, and we were kind of like, we need a strategy against this. Like, we can't keep venting about this. We can't keep just having meetings and town halls and sessions and talking about this. We need a new industry-wide standard. And so the Black in Fashion Council was really created so that we can create a new standard for companies to really know how they should be inclusive holistically as part of their business plan, but also really setting a standard as far as like what is, acceptable and what isn't. And we really wanted to make it clear to companies that this couldn't just be a one-off token effort. And I mean, I think it's very easy for companies now to know, okay, so we need to, post something about what's going on in the world or something about activism or something on MLK Day. But what we're really focused on is, what you're doing the other 364 days of the year that isn't MLK Day. And I think a lot of what we're trying to do is figuring out, the initiatives and strategy behind, what actually is going to move the needle. And so we're doing a lot of really important work as far as, making sure that companies are doing this long term. And so I think one of the biggest things is we're creating a corporate equity index that's actually in partnership with the Human Rights Campaign. And they've worked, with every large Fortune 500 company in the world to actually see how we put all these policies into practice and, differentiating between diversity and what actually is inclusion and making people feel seen and heard in the workplace. And, any company that signs up to work with us, they work with us for the next 3 years, so that this is a conversation that we're continuously having. And we've, told every company, this isn't just a moment in time where, you get to look woke. This is a movement you really have to participate in.
Absolutely. I think that's great. I really, really love that this is, a long-term journey that you're having with these brands and these companies. And you're saying this isn't a one-day thing. It's a long-term investment over those 3 years and beyond. So you both have your 9 to 5, and then you launched the Black in Fashion Council to add this multi-hyphenate to the work that you already do. How has that shift been in your life? And do you have any solid tips on how you juggle your roles?
Hi. I think that we anticipated it to be additional work. We're both passionate about this initiative, and that's why we started it. We're both juggling our jobs and our personal lives at the same time, but I think it's all going to benefit in the end. We're putting in the hours now, but at the end of the day, this is really to help our community and help these creatives and hopefully change their lives in the long run.
Absolutely. I think that's so great. And it's true. When you're passionate about it, you're willing to grind it out. There is one part of your website that I love. You describe the goals of the Black in Fashion Council, but then you take it one step further with this. And this is a quote from your website. To be clear, we want to encourage people in the industry to rise to the occasion, not just be called out so that we can see sustained long-term change. I know a conversation that I've been having over and over again, especially in the last year, has been about accountability versus cancel culture. And that accountability actually means showing a changed behavior. So how do you support this notion of accountability versus simply calling people out through the council?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a ton. And I think, what we really focused on was the fact that we want this to be productive. We want people to actually have the resources to rise to the occasion of changing. So we do a ton of different town halls. We have a ton of different resources for companies that we've sent out. As far as, DEI examples, help on different things, different questions of should we do this or should we not? We're giving a ton of feedback to companies every single day and creating a lot of resources that will, change the pipeline of how people of color are able to even have access in the industry and opportunities in the industry. But for us, it was really about, how do we move from that cancel culture to accountability and transparency? I think we're not expecting perfection. I don't think everybody is always going to get it right. But I think that if you are holding yourself accountable, and that's, really the role of the corporate equity index to see like, okay, we have all these policies into place, but how are people actually feeling about our corporate work culture, about, inclusion overall as being part of our business plan? That really is where that shows up. And I think for us, it was, that transparency that companies really need to have. I think that, one of the biggest things that I've seen from Teen Vogue is young people have really started this movement of only supporting brands that really align with their personal values. And I think that that's carried over to people our age. Like a couple of years ago, I would, see people at shows and like, oh, what's that top? And somebody would wear something. You're like, ooh, that brand, like, I don't think I support that. But now you really, like, people would be embarrassed to do that. And I think that there's just been a shift in culture and understanding that we vote with our dollars, we vote with our habits, we vote with, how we spend our time and what organizations we support and what brands we support. And so we really wanted to make sure that we weren't just calling people out and saying, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, but actually giving them the resources and working with the Human Rights Campaign to actually make this conversation more productive.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point too, and such a important one to call out for the creators and entrepreneurs on this call, is that people are definitely more interested in the entire story of the decisions that you're making as an influencer online. They want to understand the choices that you make. And if they're choosing to follow you as an influencer or a creator, they want to make sure that you have accountability in what you share and the purchases that you make and the clothes that you wear as well. So it's definitely something to think about at the core as you're creating and continuing to grow and evolve in this online and digital space. So thank you for that. Shifting gears a little bit, I do want to dive into how you elevate fellow Black professionals' voices and work. I don't think it's any secret that we're constantly all fighting to ensure that Black culture isn't just passed off as mainstream culture. So how can we continue to champion for one another in our respective spaces and amplify the community's culture? Also, just feel free to shout out like any professionals you want to shout out right now too.
I think that we did a really good job at bridging together different categories in our industry and really pulling together experts and senior level people who can champion their spaces and also educate us as we educate our community in ways that we can do better, resources that they can utilize, opportunities that they can seize. So that's reflected in our executive board, where we really do have every category, and we are hosting different town halls. And a great example is the IMG partnership. Like, we are elevating these emerging designers in a space where they traditionally wouldn't have the opportunity based on, funding, et cetera. So that's an exciting first step. And then continuing the conversation as we can in different spaces that are mainstream.
Awesome. So this has been an amazing discussion. Thank you both so much for your time. I feel like I've learned a lot and I'm going to just take away a load of inspiration. But I did want to ask one last thing, because you both have incredible experience and you've worked with amazing people on huge projects. And I think we all just want to know, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received as a professional?
I would say take the best, forget the rest. Like, take what's good in your situation and then carry it on to your next one. That also helps for you to remember like the good moments and then pass those along. So that's one thing for me.
I get a lot of young people to reach out and ask me for advice. And I think my number one thing is always, to tell people to really be hungry to do the work. That sounds really easy, but I feel like in this day and age and where we are at in culture, a lot of it can be more so, wanting it to look good or wanting to be famous or thirsty for attention online instead of actually doing the work. And I think that, people like to glamorize like, oh, you and Sandrine must be doing all these things, but like, we are hustlers. And I think that that's really important to note, and really honestly the best advice I can give people, because it doesn't matter if it looks good on social media. Like, if you need the hunger and you need that hustle in you.
Yes. And I mean, the fact that it looks good on social media is because you've been doing the work. That's what it is. So thank you both so much. This was a wonderful conversation. Please be sure to check out the Black in Fashion Council at blackinfashioncouncil.com to learn more and continue to educate yourselves as well. Thank you again, Lindsay and Sandrine, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and energy throughout today's sessions. We hope you were inspired, learned more about brand building, and how Pinterest can help you achieve your goals. We want to keep the conversation going, and we hope you do too. So please join us over on Clubhouse for an exclusive audio after party. The invite link is in the chat box now, so click the link and we'll see you there. Thank you again for being a part of Black Gold.